Okay, hi everybody, it's me. How are you? I'm just sitting here at my place and got myself a nice energy drink here, and I'm gonna have some of it while saying hello. It's 2026. I'm finally getting around to making a new live stream. My first one for this year, excuse me, and I wanted to kind of talk about a few things that I've been casually mentioning with people I chat with, but I wanted to kind of expound on some of that stuff in a live stream because hopefully it will clarify my position on a lot of stuff which people may not understand. So rather than go and explain myself to everyone I'm talking to who may not understand what I'm saying fully, I'm just going to refer everybody to this video. So I gotta first turn off the live chat here because I don't really want to talk to any of you guys. But let me figure out how to do that. I don't know if you can even do that. Honestly, this thing is sometimes an annoying pain in the butt because you get people throwing stuff at you in the live chat when it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So, moderation activity, I can do that. I don't know. Anyway, well, I don't know how to do that, but anyway, I'm just going to ignore you guys if you say anything in the live chat. So, in fact, what I'm going to do for that is maybe put something in front of the live chat so I can't read it. So, I can't read the live chat, you guys. So, it's all covered off here. So, anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about first cryptocurrency. And there are reasons for that. First of all, I've been talking about Bitcoin and other cryptos for a good, what year is it? 2026. So probably since end of 2017, thereabouts. So like almost 10 years, I guess. Almost, well, 8 years. Yeah, like 8 years actually. And, I have talked about what would happen if I became president and what I think government should do relating to cryptocurrency for years now. And I was probably one of the first people to actually bring up the idea of maybe governments getting involved in cryptocurrency in order to benefit uh, the general population. And what I see going on with government and crypto is quite different than how I had envisioned it happening. So, what I wanted to address then is that this. Um, I want to sort of distance myself from how things are going at the moment with government relating to crypto because I don't think its intent is really very well understood by any government. yet, including the United States government. I think that it's being used to effectively centralize control over the economic system, which is sort of the opposite of what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about, the purpose of Bitcoin was to have a decentralized economic method and system that was not controllable by a centralized authority, right? So a government or a banking system or banking cartel or anybody for that matter. It was supposed to give autonomy to the holders and the owners of said Bitcoin. And I believe that the opposite is being initiated with that. I believe that it is becoming more and more, I see more and more attempts to control it and pushes towards centralizing control over crypto and then sort of dictating how it will be used by a central authority, and the particularly relating to things like XRP being legislated about in Congress and how that's going to be used in banking and institutional use. I don't think that that is the purpose of cryptocurrency whatsoever. I believe that it was designed to give the individual freedom and autonomy to do whatever they want within reason, with that financial asset, and not have it be determined or controlled or moderated by the government. Um, and you just see with the unraveling of things like the Clarity Act and the what do you call, what are they calling it? I'm trying to remember what they're calling it, but the okay, the digital treasury and these types of things. Um, there's an attempt to kind of use crypto and sort of put a seal of approval on only certain types of crypto, and that only these are authorized or sanctioned or supported by the government, and these are the ones that they have control over, and everything else is in the eyes of those people useless and pointless. I think that's really not helpful. And while I do think that it's going to go through this type of way of using crypto, regardless, because some people who have control over entire economic systems don't want to give up that control, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to continue to keep that control. Um, I think while that's going to happen, I don't think that was the intent. And it's certainly not the intent or the idea that I had when it came to promoting the adoption of things like Bitcoin and Shiba Inu and even XRP itself. The idea was to, rather than gobble it all up, which is happening also, and control it, um, the idea was to provide a way for individuals to um, exercise their own free will in relation to that. My idea was to set up massive Bitcoin mines and other cryptocurrency mines and set up a database of all US citizens with perhaps a list of wallet addresses that every person has, which would be easy to do. Set up a database with everybody's name, social, maybe not even name, just a social security number, and maybe their Bitcoin wallet address, their Shiba Inu wallet address, their XRP, their what other tokens can be mined, whatever stuff can be mined, and divvy it up between everybody, and in a sense have a sort of permanent sort of economic impact payment for everybody. And I think what's happening is the opposite of what it was supposed to be like. It was supposed to be. I think what I'm saying here is more like what the spirit of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency was actually intended to be. I think what's happening is actually the opposite of that. You see major institutional investors buying up all of the stuff on exchanges and creating massive amounts of fear in people's minds via news reports against getting into it to help benefit themselves. I just think that you see it's being treated like a stock or a commodity, and that only the rich are allowed to have. That's not the point of it. It really isn't. The point of it is and was to liberate people from control by economic systems. And that is not happening. You see the same people who wanted everybody to be controlled by the Federal Reserve System in the US now initiating and enacting a system where everybody's going to be controlled by a digital currency system. It's the same thing. So they've taken something that was good and turned it on its side in order to try to usher in more control or the same amount of control. So I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's what it was for. And I know that's not what it was for, because I was part of helping to get some of the stuff off the ground. And I know what the intent behind it was. It was not for the sake of trying to control people. It was the opposite. It was created as a reaction to an already existing system of control. So I want you all to know that, and I want you all to understand that. Everybody who I speak with, it's not about, getting one over on the next guy or getting more power than the next guy and manipulating people and getting them to give up their wealth. And it's not about scamming people and rug pulling them. It's about actually providing a way for people to have economic freedom. And I don't think the government is doing enough at all when it comes to that. I think it's basically just turning it all into a giant money-making control Ponzi scheme, like everything else that has been pushed upon us for the last, I don't know, my entire life, pretty much. And I think that our government is not actually representing us in this regard. I think that the government is manipulating and trying to make it look like they're doing something to help us when they're doing something that is in fact the opposite of that. So there you go. So therefore, when it comes to specific cryptocurrencies and this type of stuff, while I do think that some of them will still do uh, well in the overall market, if you're treating it like a stock and this kind of thing, I don't think that I can recommend any specific cryptocurrencies to you. And any mention of anything that I've brought up so far is clear. It should be clearly taken as just my opinion on things, based on the knowledge that I have about it, which may or may not be limited in this current sphere, this ecosystem of things. So I want you all to understand that. I do think there are certain things that will still do well. I think Bitcoin has immense potential still for uh, providing economic freedom for people, especially as it relates to mining. I don't think any of this is being done the right way or approached the right way or being looked at with the right understanding of what it is that you're actually dealing with. It's not what probably most of you think it is. It's a whole new system and a whole new paradigm, and you are mostly still treating it like a stock or a commodity, which it's not. Um, I do think that stuff like Shiba Inu will do well. I think probably XLM, um, XRP. I think maybe things like Luna Classic, which appears to be dead, but I think it has some. I think there's potential for it to come back from the dead and actually do really well as a way to provide freedom for people and decouple them from control by the traditional method of finance. That's what most of these things are. It's not, none of them were designed or intended to be used as a way to dominate other human beings. They were designed as ways to provide freedom. So the sooner all of you understand that, and the sooner all of you kind of get with the thinking of that behind it, the sooner it will be better for everybody else, for everybody, because the way people are approaching it now, it's just causing more suffering, more hardship, more instability, more friction and hostility between different peoples and different countries and different class backgrounds and everything else. It's just being used the wrong way, and it was designed to, looking at crypto in the big picture, it was designed to eliminate things that cause all of that stuff, i.e., control over the traditional banking, controlled by the traditional banking systems, and control over them by a handful of people. So, yeah, I do think that, while I understand that defending yourself in military defense is obviously an important thing still in the 21st century. The United States, particularly, could do a lot more to set up something that actually works for people economically. It wouldn't be a massive investment, it would take probably a small percentage of our overall budget, annual budget, to set up a system, a database system for the general population that would, give us all some economic freedom. And it could even be used to provide jobs for people. It doesn't have to be this type of thing where everybody's just getting free money. It's sort of a collective investment. So it's a different kind of capitalism, but it is capitalism still. We have public money. We can take it, put a little bit in the right place, and watch it grow. And if we are all no longer struggling to survive by working our butts off just to get enough to live, um, we can easily, we could easily focus on other things which will grow our country, our GDP, etc., into a bigger picture than most of us are currently looking at, which is struggling just to get by, just to have enough to survive. It's like, how is that living? It's not living. And it's almost like punishing people for being victims of a system that they did not create. How about we look at just tweaking it a little bit, and it would be better for everybody. Now, I don't expect the current administration to take that approach because it's headed by a business person, business tycoon, and it's a respectful uh, occupation, and I understand the thinking behind it and the approach, but I do think that running our country like a business with all of us as its employees is not really the best way to run a country. And we're not human resources. We are people, and we are citizens, and we all have something to contribute, and we all should be in a situation where we are able to uh, contribute the maximum to society that we are capable of contributing. We don't have that. And, you know, while I understand that some people think that perhaps if we're not, you know, cutthroat, if we're not all cutthroat business people, that we don't deserve to survive. Um, you know, New Mexico is not New York City, for instance, or West Texas is not Palm Springs. It's all very different, and just because you live out in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't mean you should have to suffer because other people think you should. Um, we should have a country that is set up to take care of all of our people, all of our citizens, and give us all the opportunity to do whatever it is that will contribute. We don't have that. We have a system in place where Richer people are getting richer, doing less and less, preventing people from doing anything, and punishing those who are victims of circumstance. So I would argue that we are not in a situation where uh, the view is that all men are created equally. We clearly are not in that situation. Now, we are, if we consider ourselves to be Americans, we should believe and understand that essentially all men are created equally. But when you go out of your way to create a system or pervert a system that is designed to function that way to your own benefit, then you are part of the problem. And you have and you are on the verge of becoming an enemy of basic American views and values. So I'm not accusing anyone specific of anything here, but I think it should be obvious that we're not on the right track when it comes to that. And we do in the future need to do more to make sure that we stay off the wrong track, on the right track, and keep moving forward in the right direction. So, yeah, if you, if you guys are crazy enough to seriously put me in government at some point in the future, this is one of the things that I would absolutely spend time focusing on is setting up a, I don't know what to call it, but maybe I don't know, the crypto, I'm not sure. I'll have to think of a term, but basically a division that will oversee and make sure that the crypto mining systems are functioning and that everybody's name or at least social security number and wallet addresses are in a national database and that everybody will receive regular payments of cryptocurrency. So that's my idea. I don't think that's too radical. If that's too radical for you, then perhaps you should cease being an American because you know we we are all effectively created equally, and therefore our system should function as though that is the truth. So that's all I have to say right now. I'm going to go finish my energy drink and spend the rest of my night here reading. I've got some research to do, and I should probably get onto that. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my first live stream of 2026, and I will speak with you all soon. Take care.